This call is now being recorded.
Hey there, it's Double R here with the Jailhouse Podcast. I'm just kidding. I don't know. I'm still not feeling this nickname my cellmates came up with for me. But I don't know. I'm just good with Randy or Rosado, but I've certainly been called worse things than Double R, so I guess it's closer to my real name than Rosario. I don't know what it is. For some reason, in every dorm I'm in, someone always starts calling me Rosario, and then it seems to spread. Even the guys who were correctly calling me Rosado start to second-guess themselves, and then it becomes Rosario. So, I don't know. But I don't even bother correcting them either, you know. And then the guys who know my real name seem to get a kick out of it. My friend Carlos, the young guy in his 20s, he would just sarcastically call me Rosario just to mess with whoever was screwing up my name. But yeah, Carlos is a good kid. I hope he's actually doing well. We've had actually quite a bit of deep spiritual conversations, and that's kind of what I want to talk about today. But anyway, this is episode 12, and it's November 16th, 2021. And, that's one thing I can say about this experience. I've read a lot of great books. By now, probably several hundred novels, biographies, business books, self-help books. I mean, you name it. However, after the last few podcasts, I just needed to take a few days off to reflect and to regroup, because while there might be many, nasty, violent people in jail, and, there are still many of us trying to grow in any way we can. We read the Bible, we different religious and spiritual books to better ourselves. We try to gain some peace and some insight, into our situations. But you got to be careful, because some people actually use religion to manipulate you or take advantage. So I guess, you can call them false prophets of sort. Then you'll see some guys who, robbing other inmates, or, a group of them ganging up and beating up on people, and then they're the guys in the prayer circle at the end of the night. So it's kind of like, really, man? So that's why I usually prefer to just have my own relationship with God. Fellowship is good, but, you got to be careful who you spend time with, especially if your beliefs do not, just don't align. So it's better for me usually to stay to myself rather than to pray in a group, But I try not to judge anyone, but that's kind of impossible and a constant challenge. But I will say, though, since I've been in the St. Lucie County Jail, I've had really good information exchange with other inmates who have, become friends. Probably more so than Lee County, except for my friend Robert. Robert's in his 70s, and we had lots in common. He remained in contact, became a really great and supportive friend. He was at my trial. He's just a really good guy, very educated, and always try to better himself. And I try to do the same. So he sent me, books here, and, we've both enjoyed books by like Tony Robbins and Eckhart Tolle and others. I don't know if it's Eckhart Tolle or Tolle, but his book, A New Earth, has actually become one of my favorites. Another book I've read, and it's become popular, is The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. I've read it a bunch of times, as I've seen the movie a few times, too. That's really where it came from. There's another one, As a Man Thinketh by James Allen, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and many, many more. And, what I've really found about those particular books that I've mentioned, maybe not so much the Eckhart Tolle one, but they share a similar foundation, and that is that our thoughts, our speech, our actions, they impact our lives. We essentially manifest our own experiences. And many people disagree with this or have a hard time accepting that they've caused some of the circumstances in their lives. For example, how did I create this situation and cause the state of Florida to be corrupt and break the law to wrongly and unfairly prosecute me? Maybe I didn't specifically force them to lie, break the wrong laws, or commit perjury. But whether I like it or not, I did put myself in this position, even if it wasn't intentionally. See, by becoming involved with people like Joel Soucy and Patrick Long and Manuel Gonzalez and others, I indirectly created this. See, these people just weren't in line with my life's purpose, and I failed to realize this at the time. Maybe I even married the wrong person and caused that too, or maybe this was all meant to happen for whatever comes next in my life and in those other people's lives. So, The Secret really became popular when the movie came out in 2006. And I remember, my wife and I had actually pre-ordered it, but the foundation of The Secret is nothing new. These concepts have actually been around for centuries. So it's basically based on the universal laws that many successful people understand. And The Secret focuses mostly on the law of attraction, which really means that we attract people and experiences into our lives. And I apologize for background noise, but people are kind of screaming around me. But anyway, we do this through our thoughts, our words, and most importantly, our beliefs and feelings. So while The Secret attempts to simplify these concepts, they are far more challenging to practice daily. Trust me. I've been studying these universal laws for more than 15 years, and I still struggle. A lot of people consider these teachings part of the so-called New Age movement, but these concepts are actually very biblical and even based on quotes by Jesus himself. So if we become more aware of our thoughts and actions, we can actually change the results that we have. Because life is really like a boomerang if you think about it, right? So whatever we throw out just comes back at us. We project anger or negativity, well, we're going to attract more anger and negativity. If we fear or worry about things, we're going to attract the very things we fear and worry about. So, if you focus on having money or not having money, we create poverty in our lives, or the opposite, we create prosperity. So, if we think about our partner being cheating on us, being unfaithful, if we harbor jealousy, we might actually cause that to occur. So, the Bible talks about anger and jealousy being serious sins. In Jesus' Sermon on the Mount in Matthew 6, he spends most of the chapter telling us not to worry, because worry is really nothing more than a lack of faith. So, if we give hate, we'll receive hate. If we give love, we will receive love. We've all heard it forever, right? We reap what we sow. So that's really kind of what's going on. And that's why it's so challenging for so many people to be successful. How do we not become angry or worry in certain situations? I don't struggle with jealousy, but I do have a problem with anger. I control it pretty well at times, but I still have angry thoughts and speech from time to time. How could I not be angry at the prosecutors and judges who wrongly persecuted me? And that's one way to look at it, but I'll tell you what, I need to get over it, because what will happen if I focus on the corruption, the constitutional violations, and the wrongful prosecution? I'm going to attract more of those things, right? So, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that I can't discuss it or share that information, especially if it helps me, expose these things and hopefully become free soon. But I really need to learn to do it in a more constructive and loving way. And I know, right? That sounds pretty insane, doesn't it? How do you love your enemies and those who hate you? And it's not easy, but it's really the only way. We can't fight evil with more evil, or hate with more hate. You can't fight. You really can only fight these things with love, because love conquers all. 1 Corinthians chapter 13 is known as the chapter on love, and it's used in many wedding ceremonies, right? It ends by saying, so now faith, hope, and love abide, these three, but the greatest of all of these is love. So, Paul says it again in 1 Thessalonians 4:9, that we are to love one another. John tells us the same thing in 1 John 4, and reminds us that God is love. So if we are one with God, we are loved too, right? Jesus' brother James tells us that we should love our neighbors, or whatever, our neighbor as ourselves, I think, how he says it, right? And he also warned us about the power of the tongue, right? How such a small thing can start a huge fire. He says, no human can tame the tongue, I think he says, and that it's full of evil and poison. And, we use that tongue to judge people and to curse people, even people that are made in the likeness of God like we are. So we've all said things that we regret. It's human nature. It says somewhere, probably in James as well, that death and life are in the power of the tongue. but we could also use the tongue in a more positive way. We can change by being more aware of the words we're using, and use them in a loving, positive way. So, regardless of what our religious beliefs or practices might be, the laws of the universe don't change. Buddha had great compassion for all living things, right? Which is probably why many Buddhists are vegans and vegetarians and won't kill animals or other living things. Now, Buddha, actually, the term Buddha means enlightened or awakened one. So, a Buddha is just a person who is completely free from all faults and like mental distractions and stuff. So, now the Buddha that we most commonly know that they call Buddha is the Shakyamuni, or I'm not sure how it's said, but that's basically the Buddha that founded the Buddhism practice or religion, as it is considered. So, and he basically taught that problems are in the mind, not in the external world. So if we were able to maintain a calm and peaceful mind all day, we would never experience problems or suffering. For example, if our mind remained peaceful all the time, even if we are insulted, criticized, blamed, we lost our job or friends, we won't become angry. We won't become unhappy. So a Buddha believes that without inner peace, outer peace is impossible. So there are a lot of parallels, right, in these Buddhist teachings and Jesus. So Jesus and Buddha are similar in that way, and I'm sure there are a lot of other similarities in other religions as well. I'm just talking about these two because I'm a little more familiar with them. But the point is, if we allow our thoughts and actions to, be dictated by the outside world, we're just screwed, and that's what it comes down to. One of my favorite Bible verses is Romans 12:2, which tells us not to be conformed by the ways of the world, but to be transformed by the renewal of our minds. So we must constantly renew our minds and try to live by the fruits of the Spirit, as shared in Galatians 5. After warning us of the desires of the flesh, Paul tells us that the 9 fruits of the Spirit are love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Okay? So, now of course it's impossible and we'll never be perfect, but we can always try to get better and to create a better life for ourselves just by following those fruits of the Spirit. If I had to think about any 2 verses that are the most important, it would be Romans 12:2 and Galatians 5:22. But anyway, I got off track a little bit and I kind of went on a tangent. But getting back to what I was initially talking about is that it's really been a blessing that I've connected with so many people who are also looking to grow spiritually. And I don't mean really from a specific religion or denomination because, I try to respect, I do respect everyone's belief system and I hope they would respect mine. Everyone has their own spiritual journey, but, what I appreciate really is the sharing of information with other people that are looking to improve their lives. I mentioned Robert earlier and Carlos, but, there's Tommy and Easy and Jose and so many others. The law of attraction has actually brought us all together, and that's really what I'm getting at here. We're all truly connected. And, this recent reflection on myself, and the reason why I'm even doing this podcast is really from a book that was handed to me a few days ago by really the most unlikely person in this dorm. This guy's a loudmouth and not someone I would even really choose to be around if I could avoid it. I certainly judge this guy both verbally and mentally, and if he spoke to me the way he speaks to others, it would really be hard for me not to punch him in the face, and I'm ashamed to say that, but that's really just being honest. However, he does show me respect for the most part, which I return. And I realize that people come from different upbringings, and, so I try, I've been doing this thing long enough that I've come across so many personalities. So, a lot of the things he says, I just let roll off my back and not bother me. But anyway, so this guy hands me this book called The Wisdom of Florence Scovel Shinn, and it includes like 4 books that she wrote all in one. One's The Game of Life, The Power of the Spoken Word, The Secret of Success, and some other one, Your Word is Your Wand or something like that. And I don't know when all of these separate books were published, but this whole compilation, it looks like it was published in 1940 and then again in 1989, which I imagine was probably sometime after she passed away. While I'm familiar with these concepts, I'm truly enjoying this book and really needed to refresh my mind. And she has many affirmations and what she also refers to as demands, because God in his infinite intelligence is ready to carry out our desires if they are in line with our divine rights. So she talks about speaking what we want and also believing it, and then she has the affirmations to support it. So I can really appreciate this book because it was written so many years before all of these other books about the divine and spiritual laws of the universe. And I'm sure it probably wasn't super original. There's people been studying this forever, but I do feel that she was probably a pioneer in her time, and it helped me because I really needed to get away from the flesh and back to the spirit, and I'm actually shocked that I've never heard of Florence Scovel Shinn because I study a lot of books like this, but I just found this book just at the right time, and I had to share that because later that same day a guy named Kenny saw me with the book and handed me Deepak Chopra's 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. I think that's what it's called. I don't have it. I didn't write it down, but the book's upstairs. But anyway, I've read that book a few times over the years. I even read it probably most recently about a year ago. But I welcome the chance to read it again because, when the universe speaks, I try to listen. So anyway, I was just trying to share that. I'm going to try to, get a little more focused on the right things and, handle these situations constructively, and I just wanted to share that. So I hope anyone who got this message got something out of it, and if you're into that kind of stuff, I certainly encourage you to read Florence Scovel Shinn if you haven't already. But anyway, that's really it, and I'll talk to you soon. All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for